This is why the Bruins are the best team in the NHL. The Boston Bruins currently sit atop the NHL standings with an almost perfect record of 37 wins, 5 losses, and 4 overtime losses. They are consistently steamrolling opponents, continuously finding new ways to get points on a nightly basis, and a few nights ago they beat the Sharks 4-0. McAvoy had a beautiful goal, and Boston just dominated the game. But on paper, this team looks anything but perfect. So what makes the Bruins so lethal? Like any elite club, we have to trace the successes back to the front lines of defense, and arguably the most crucial position, the goaltending. Since 2008, the Bruins have been graced with an elite goaltender in Tuukka Rask, whom they've acquired off of a pick from the Toronto Maple Leafs. With Rask, the Bruins would have 3 Stanley Cup final appearances, winning 1 with Tuukka. Unfortunately, during the 2021-22 season, Rask would retire due to prominent injuries and a hip surgery that set back his return, leading the Bruins to have to re-examine their goaltending options. That brings us to Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark. Swayman was already in the Bruins prospect pool after having been drafted in the 4th round, 111th overall in 2017 NHL entry draft. Swayman got his shot as starter for the Bruins at just 23 years of age and put up consistent efforts throughout the 2021-2022 season. Linus Ullmark was acquired by the Bruins from free agency and signed for 4 years at $5 million average annual value. Ullmark would then go on to share the crease with Swayman for the rest of that season. Now, when we take a look at this season, however, both guys have stepped up tremendously for the Bruins, with Swayman posting a 2.26 goals against average and a .916 save percentage, going 11-3-3 in the net with 19 games played, and Ullmark boasting 25 wins, 2 losses, and 1 overtime loss, with a 1.82 goals against average and a .938 save percentage. Teams build so much confidence off of their goalies, and when you have a tandem that is consistent, you immediately become a threat in the National Hockey League. No matter who starts in net for the Bruins, they're always given a chance to win, and with these guys I'm going to talk about next, it's no wonder Boston is successful. Now, it's important to note that previous to the start of the season, there were many questions surrounding the authenticity of this Bruins team, like whether or not they were still playoff threats, questions in net, if it was perhaps time to move in a new direction as a club, and even if they still had what it took to compete at the top of the East, considering they've been dominant for the better half of 2 decades. This was immediately put to rest within the first 10 games of the season as they went 9-0-1. And of course, the most obvious reasons for success here are these 3 guys. Marchand is the league's best agitator and does an exceptional job at getting his opponents off of their games by any means necessary. And while he's a guy you hate to play against, he's simultaneously a guy you'd love to have on your team. He does such a good job at irritating his opponents, but what makes him a double threat is his ability to score and offensive awareness. Marchand is lethal on the rush, and if you notice, both his position for shooting and passing are the exact same, which makes it almost impossible for goalies to read whether or not he'll make a pass or shoot the puck. And then there's this next guy, David Pastrnak, who's a perfect example of unpredictable. He sort of reminds me of Leon Draisaitl in the way that he can make any play a dangerous one. He's so shifty with the puck, and he's excellent at selling the shot, leaving goalies vulnerable to backdoor passes. Pastrnak can score and make lethal plays, and he sort of reminds me like of an upgraded Marner. And then there's Bergeron, who's an effective faceoff winner and a very responsible player with the puck. He routinely makes the simple plays and is a vote of confidence of stability and consistency on this Bruins hockey team.